Hey everybody, welcome back to Brent's Backyard Redneckery. Now, earlier this year, I picked a whole bunch of black raspberries, and everyone that I know that's eaten my jellies thinks they're great, especially the black raspberry. That's probably my wife and my son's favorite. So today, I'm going to put together some black raspberries. We're going to make some jam, and it's going to be delicious. So get ready. I'll tell you what you need to do. Let's get into it. All right, so here's everything we're going to use for our jelly. I've got about 8 cups of black raspberries that I picked from the garden this year. Got my fruit pectin, probably a tablespoon or 2 of lemon juice, tablespoon of butter for our foaming, our sugar to mix in with that, and our pectin. I'm going to use this potassium metabisulfite to try and sterilize my jars. I use that for my wine bottles, so it should work for my jars. Let's go ahead and get cooking. And so to sterilize our jars, we're going to use 1/8 of a teaspoon of this stuff. So we'll bring this up to a boil, let it boil for about 5-10 minutes, then take it off the heat, and our jars will be sterilized. We're going to put in a couple cups of berries. We're going to use a potato masher to get these things, start smashing them up. I guess this is just a couple cups, so we'll just dump the whole thing in there. That'll be easier. So we'll just take this and start smashing. Release some of the juices so we can make sure we get everything nice and blended, and we're going to make this seedless. So I'll show you what we're going to do to make it seedless here in a little bit, but for right now I'm going to get this on a low heat and continue smashing this stuff up until I get it to the point that I want it. Then we're going to pop it in the food processor and really puree it, and then I'll show you how we get our seeds out with a fine mesh sieve. So what we're going to do with that is pour it over the remnants. Once this stuff has been seeded, whatever's left in our fine mesh sieve, we're going to pour that over it into a container, and that'll make it just slightly stronger to add to our pulp whenever we make our jam. So I've let this cook for about 10 minutes. It's nice and juiced. So I got this new food processor for Christmas from my wife. First time I've used it, but the plan here is we're going to dump all this stuff over into it. So once we've pureed this, we're going to turn it into seedless jam. And I went ahead and strained my berries and left all the juice in there so this isn't as blowing outy. And we're going to see what we got here. So we've got 4 blades in there chopping. I'm going to go on high speed. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, it's nice and pureed pretty darn well. So I'm going to put all this into there, and we're going to push it through that sieve to get all the seeds out. All right, so the way I do this to get my seeds out is I'm going to put them in the fine mesh strainer, and I'm just going to constantly do this until I get all my seeds to stay out. And you'll be able to tell once you have it done. It'll be kind of dried out looking, and you'll have the pulp coming through on the bottom. Let's lift it up and see what we got. This is the pulp we're looking for. We're going to do that with all of our berries, and then we'll add that in there to make our jam. So here's what we've got for juice. A little over 2.5 cups, and for our pulp, we've got a little over 1.5 cups. And there's a little bit of seed in there, not too awful much. I'll probably run that through just one more time, make sure I get them all, and then we'll combine this and add what we need to get up to our 6 cups. This is how much I have left for just seeds and a little bit of pulp. So I've added up my 2 cups of water into that raspberry puree. I'm just going to run it through this strainer. I'm going to pour that through there. See how much we get out of it. So I'm going to let it sit here and drip through. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit weaker, but I'd rather do that than just use plain water. All right, so I'll let it sit here and drip. I pushed it through a little bit. Not a whole lot, but we're up to right under 4 cups there. A little over 2.5 here, so we've got our 6 cups we need. I'm going to combine these in the pot. We'll start heating it up. All right, so we're just going to take this, pour it in here. A little bit of stuff I got to scoop out there, so I'll get that in a second. And the other one is just straight up juice. All right, so I've got my stuff poured in there. I got a little bit left in here. I'm just going to scrape out here. All right, so we're looking at right at 6¼ cups of raspberry. So I've got 1/3 cup of pectin and 1 cup of sugar. Once it hits about 175, I'll toss in my sugar and then get it all stirring in. First thing I'm going to do here, though, we're going to put in just the sugar and the pectin and get that mixed in real nice. While that's coming up to temperature, we're going to just put in 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. All right, we're almost at 200, so it's close to a boil. We're going to go ahead and drop in our sugar and get it up to a boil, and then we'll be getting ready for this to turn into our jam. Whenever you're cooking your jellies and jams, most likely you're going to get this foamy looking nonsense up here. That's what our butter's for. So I'm going to start out with about a 1/2 tablespoon. Once that melts, most of our bubbles there should be gone. We shouldn't have any more foam. As you can see right there, it's already almost gone. Okay, so we're getting close on our temperature. I'm at 215. I'd like to hit 217. And I just hit 217, so I've got my timer on now. It's going to try and boil out of my pot because that's the temperature I want. It's going to gel up quicker. So after this 1 minute, it's coming off the burner, and we're going to get this stuff canned. Woo! That's hot. So we're at this point. It looks really thin, but once it sets up and we do our 10-minute water bath, it will gel and look absolutely wonderful. Okay, so we've got our jars, we've got our funnel. Just take your ladle and dip it into your jam or jelly. And you want to take this and fill up your jars till they've got up to about that line, because you want to leave at least a 1/4 inch of headspace. And that's about right. That's where we want it to be. So from this angle, you'll be able to tell when you've got it to the point that you want it to be. You want to go about halfway up that wall. That should put you right about where you want to be. And voila. Before you put the lids on, make sure you wipe off any jelly that may have spilled around the rims. Make sure we got it nice and centered on there. Take your ring, put it on here like so, and then make sure it's finger tight. That's ready to go in the water bath. So when you're doing your water bath, make sure you've got about 1 inch of water over the top of your lids. Set this up to boil. Once it boils for 10 minutes, we'll pull them out. I'll finish up these other 2, and then we'll check our progress and see if we're done. So my jelly is set up overnight. Now all I got to do is label it and get it set up, give it away for some gifts, or eat a whole bunch of it. All right, wraps up another episode of Brent's Backyard Redneckery. Hope you guys learned something today. If you did, make sure to give me a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. Come back next time. I'll tell you what you need to do. Y'all have a good one.